Hello, everybody. Leah Klett here with the Christian Post. And my guests today are Brett Nephew, Michael Shannon, and Judy Greer. We're talking about the brand new film, Eric Larue. So nice to talk to you. This movie is so moving.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Watching the journey that Janice went through, especially, was just wow. You were fantastic, Judy.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Well, I want to start with you because this is such a powerful, emotionally layered story. Why did you want to tell this particular story and why now?
Well, I've been working with Brett here for a number of years, and I remember this play in 2002, seeing this play in Chicago. It started out as a play, and being fascinated by it even way back then. And then when he gave me the screenplay, I just was so moved by the community in the screenplay of all the characters moved me in different ways. And when you act, you pick a character and you say, "Oh, I'm going to be that person," and you kind of laser focus on one person. But I wanted to direct so that I would have a hand in all of the characters and all of the relationships and building that community was the idea of doing that was very interesting to me.
Judy, Janice is a mom in an almost impossible position. She grieves what her son has done, but she loves him so much. What drew you to this role, and how did you even begin to tap into that emotional conflict she has?
Well, I had a really great director who I worked with a few years ago that no, well, first of all, I think that it's all on the page, and sometimes you have to do acting tricks when you're working if it's not all on the page. And in this case, I did not. Like, I just felt like it was really clear who this woman was and what she was going through. So I didn't have to do a lot of, I don't know, pretending in a way. The lines, the scenes, they sort of spoke for themselves. And I think um, maybe that's like a scary thing to admit, but I like feeling the way I imagine someone would feel in a situation. It's like compassion, empathy. It's a way to sort of maybe see something that I wouldn't normally see every day, like through my own eyes. I I had I think I carried some judgment about these people before I really read about them and learned about them. I mean, the parents are losing these kids as well as being responsible for these kids. You know, when your child commits a crime like this, I think Janice feels like she committed the crime, and in some ways the crime is committed against her. And I've never seen a story like this about the parents, and I haven't seen something that takes place without any violence in it, which I don't think is necessary to tell a story like this. Yeah, I can't imagine, and I think I got as close as I can to understanding what it would be like, but still, I think all these people deserve a voice.
Well, the film doesn't give us any answers. It kind of lets us sit in that tension, which in a
Yeah.
way is uncomfortable for viewers because we're not used to doing that.
We're not used to doing that in life. We're now programmed to take care of our needs as soon as we have them, and to teach ourselves how to sit in dis-ease, I think, is a real skill. And I had a hard time with it when we were shooting the movie. I always was asking questions like, well, why does she do this? And where is she going? And what happens at the end? And there's just like, I finally, after having some distance from it, I'm like, oh, that's the idea. And it's actually after talking to doing interviews like this that I'm like, that's what's cool about the movie, is that there's so much of it. There's so many questions that can never get answered in these situations.
Well, Brett, the film shows two very different expressions of the Christian faith. There's Janice's sort of quiet struggle at First Presbyterian, but then there's Ron's very performative, born again journey at Redeemer Church. What do you think the film is really trying to say by showing this contrast?
I think just that there's a contrast there, and I think that both of them. I've talked about this before, but I feel like everybody's right. I mean, everybody's right about the path that they're on, and certainly our two pastors are right about the things that they say. There's good advice there. There's bad advice there. I mean, we're all human, so we're going to hear that, but we're also going to kind of let it pass through our own ideas of what they're saying and the way that we judge them, the way that we see them. But it is like Judy was just saying that we're so used to sitting in comfort. Here's a bunch of people, including pastors, who are now in an uncomfortable position. And see, we watch them try to present themselves as a place like, oh, this is usual. I can deal with this. I can deal with this. And that starts to break down and starts to break down. Even for our evangelical pastor, that breaks down for him too, when he sees the truth about what's going on with Ron, that it's maybe he's more broken than he imagined. That I think everybody just becomes a part of the community, as opposed to roles that were about being people who could help you through being leaders in the community. You just all become on an equal level dealing with something that happened in the community, a violent act that happened in the community. And I think that is the thing that I was really interested in, is where these pastors begin with their advice and where they end up just as human beings.
Yeah, my dad's a pastor, so that was kind of fun to watch, just to see those dynamics.
Yeah, I spent lots of time at lots of different churches growing up, and all sorts of different faiths, and all sorts of different Christian faiths, I should say. And so yeah, I was around a lot of different kinds of pastors, and it was confusing, but also was very enlightening. And I tried to let that inform the script for sure. And my hometown is just chock full of churches, and so there was a lot of different people going to a lot of different churches, and everybody seemed to be believe different things, similar things, but very different things too.
But did your perspective on the role of faith when it comes to forgiveness, comes to healing, did it change at all, or how it can help or hamper that process for people?
Sure. The reason I wrote the play to begin with, and certainly the reason I wrote the screenplay and wanted to include more of the church in the screenplay, is that I was unclear and trying to analyze the role of faith, the role of Christianity specifically in the Midwest and throughout America, and their role of trying to help communities once the police leave, once the reporters leave. They're sort of left with it in many ways. And I wanted to see what that was kind of about. And I mean, like you said, that there's no real answers here. I'm left with Janice struggling with it too. And I think that my goal as a writer is always to try to understand. It's like therapy, I guess, where you go in knowing there's something that you're thinking about, but not often, well, it never goes away. It just gets kind of helped, and you get to talk about it. And that's the goal with this, is we get to talk about it, but it's still inside you. And I feel like that's what I was trying to analyze when it comes to faith, for sure.
Judy, as a woman and as an actor, what did playing Janice teach you about compassion for mothers who are grieving in silence or carrying a burden that nobody sees?
Yeah, I have been thinking a lot about that, actually, because I reread something recently about, it was something that I read a long time ago. It was an article, and it was about how when, I think this is like slightly related, but when you see like a man out with like his little toddler, you're like, oh my God, that is so cute. Look at that, dad is taking his kid out to get coffee. And then you see like a mom with like her 4 kids like in a park, and you're never like, look at that mom taking her kids to the park. Look at the mom taking her kids to Starbucks. It's just like, we're supposed to know everything. We're supposed to do everything. We're supposed to have all the answers all the time. And this journey with Janice and this movie and this story it definitely it made me just really appreciate moms and what they go through, and how we're not supposed to complain, and we're not supposed to make mistakes, and we're not supposed to complain about our kids, and we're not supposed to ever have one bad thought in our minds. And then at the end of the day, when we do everything perfectly, we're still blamed for all the crap that our kids do. Yeah. This is obviously an extreme situation in our movie, but it's like, it's you know, that our kids are so great, or it's our fault that our kids have done something terrible. And I don't know, we are really lucky to be moms, but I think we could use more than one day a year to celebrate it.
A weekend.
Oh, thank you.
We could, yeah, Dana, perhaps.
Listen, every day should be Mother's Day, in my opinion.
Very well.
Well, Michael, in a country where school shootings are becoming tragically more common, what do you hope Eric LaRue contributes to the conversation around this issue?
Yeah, well, look, understandably, a lot of times in reference to what you just said, the conversation is centered on, you know, guns and gun control, and that totally makes sense. You know, that does seem to be the crux of the matter. But there is a separate matter or issue, I think, that beyond whether that ever gets handled or not, it's just why do children like Eric find themselves in these situations? Like, where is that coming from? And why is it in a country that ostensibly is a, you know, kind, benevolent, united place, is there so much loneliness and alienation and confusion? Even you know, even with all these resources, you know, the church or at our disposal, it seems like something's broken in the fundamental equation of our society. There's some sort of dysfunction that it would behoove us to get a handle on.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more Christ-centered journalism.